If he were to die today, which of his kids would have the claim for inheritance? All of them, or just the most recent? Okay, so these are undercurrents within him. But he has the Jupiter Neptune, so his ability to see the scope and see visions of how to make money, how he can benefit from this, how he can benefit from that, that's strongly with the Jupiter Neptune in there. It can be really gullible. He can, like, Neptune in the fifth house can be really deceptive and gullible about money and not really seeing clearly. And many people would argue that with his squaring his Neptune, his ideals about values and money, and his understanding and taking the opportunity to go for it, the Jupiter and Neptune in the second house, that exaggerates it, and that makes it mega, nothing simple. It's got to go for the big, got to go for nothing simple. But he is the person who can go for it with the Sun in Gemini. It's trying all that stuff. His confidence just goes for it. But his ability to be clear about it, the Mercury Neptune, his ability, he has the capacity to manipulate people to go along to get what he wants. Or he might not express to others exactly clearly his agenda. So this is, you get that. The Saturn, we talked on, the Saturn's in the seventh house. Conjunctive Venus, there's never enough money. So he's at the approach, there's never enough. How do we get more? How do we get this? The defensive approach, the discontent, the social discontent. Things aren't the way they should be. But boy, here's the dream. We can make America great again. We can get our money and we can have our own partnerships as long as we just keep it like Republican or colonial. Okay. Just touching nerves here. We can leave that into this. We can go into these deeply, but I just want to pull this together. Saturn, Uranus up in the 10th house, works for himself, independent. He's president of the United States, but he's working for himself. Okay, and doing his independent thing. Living it's his right to do. He got there. He's doing it. He's there. Okay. Neptune, we just talked about. His Pluto is in the 12th house again. No bad aspects to the Pluto, but it's in the 12th house with the Mars. So there's often dangerous repercussions of power and fear. Power and fear, Mars and Pluto. He would want to have a good army to protect the things he's trying to protect. But he's defensive in his thinking. His implications could be overly so, but there's a shadow there, there's a darkness there in the 12th house. Where normally if you have the 12th house, it's supposed to be more spiritual, more transcendent, more letting go of your aggression, not being aggressive. So being aggressive for defensive measures or for conservative measures takes it into Republican or extreme Republican perceptions. Okay. His IC is motivated by Scorpio. He's motivated by Scorpio, by Mars, by judgments, by power, by what's fair, what's not fair. We'll build the wall, we'll fix this, we'll change this, we'll do that, I'll do this. He projects it out to his Leo ascendant, like, I'm going to do it. I'm there. I can see this has to be done. He has this pride of his independence. I'm me. Like, this is the Leo. The king is me. The state is me. He has the Sun in the 10th house in Gemini and the Leo rising, conjunct the Mars. Of course, the state is him in his mind. And in running things, he has a Taurus midheaven, so he wants things to be beautiful, powerful, rich, money, he wants to get things, be rewarded for what he does. He's never going to be satisfied. There's always going to be a need for more. But that's midheaven's ruled by the Venus too, which is affected by the moon. So the people around him, 11, is all affected by his sense of security, his understanding what we should have, and his this sense of shock to how the world has changed, how things aren't there, how people moving out, we're losing what we have, and we have to have it. So he gets the team around him that feels the same way. And then he starts acting to impose that, but it's really not inclusive. He has a very exclusive, not inclusive chart. He's doing his thing. It's not really a socially conscious thing. He does pull in that that insecure, people who are insecure for their home and their situation, feeling it's being taken away. He does pull in that right wing or redneck side. So with Leo rising as Aquarius on the seventh house, so he responds to other people through what they know. But his sense of what they know, he listens to them. He wants to. He tries to see if they're respected or they're worthy or not. He's trying to reflect on what they think, but it's based against what he knows is secure or insecure, whether they know or not. So his take on it will always be projective against. He's not a good responder. As he gets ideas, he prematurely acts. Okay, so that's good enough to see. So now, how did a guy like this? You can see the attitude, the temperament to get to be president. Well, he ran his empire, ran his hotels. He ran. He's made big investments, make big money. So we're looking at this for this year. In the end of 2019, he's going to next year's the election year. So really, I'm kind of focusing on the from 2016 when he got elected to this term to see if he gets elected or not, or what's the likelihood, or what's the energy around him. Like I say, with astrology, we're not defining a person, we're tuning into the circumstances around him. And we're letting those circumstances inform us a little bit so we can perceive. It doesn't always mean you can just predict exactly from that. So you can see his Saturn, where it starts in his chart. He has a sun high, but his Saturn starts in Cancer. It's going to go down through his 12th house at an early age. It's going to his descendant. There's going to be an identity and health crisis at an early age. Then it's going to be from 3 years old till about 17. It's all below the horizon while he's in school and learning. That's not bad. Then 17, 18, he starts building up to his stat, goes over his descendant, builds up to his midheaven. At 24. But by the time then it conjuncts his sun, so in his late 20s, mid 20s, he's riding high. And then it hits the Saturn, then it goes into the 12th house and hits the ascendant. Then there's the identity crisis. He builds everything up, then it comes down. Then he's got to go through the learning point again. So we're going to go through these things. I'm just pointing this up, and it builds up, comes up around, comes down again. So like he's gone through 2 cycles of this. And at just after the last election, Saturn was opposing his sun. Not on the election. He got the election, then Saturn opposed his sun. So his most difficult period was just the first year after he got elected, when everybody's minding his business suddenly. He's got all these pressures he hasn't had to deal with. So the Saturn's gone on. Now it's moved along and back, that moved on. It's up in Capricorn. It's up in Capricorn right now with conjunct Pluto and Venus. So this Saturn-Venus is conjunct again, and it's conjunct Pluto. These fears are widespread in the world. That's building up, and it's gonna move up to the descendant. So we're gonna see that, and we'll say Pluto's there. We're gonna look at all of these, but this is the Saturn. You can see it. At the same time with the Saturn seeing it, his progressed sun is going to progress through his 11th, from the 10th through the 11th, into the 12th, into the 1st. His progressions are going to more personal worlds, less high profile worlds, more personal worlds, although he's set up the whole high profile worlds. So his progressions aren't really moving the same direction. He starts high, and where he ends up will be an interesting thing. So anyways, we're just gonna, it's his natal chart, so I can put it in here and look at the transits, the Saturn transits. And I think I'm going to pull up, have his timeline here so I can have a timeline and see if I can get it up so it's big enough to read. Okay, we'll put his timeline over here so we can watch the timeline as we're doing the Saturn. We won't see the chart as much, but we'll have the okay, this is just, I feel like that's timeline. Okay, so 46 to 62, nothing much said. So we're going to look, here's the Saturn, where's Saturn here? Saturn's down below on the chart here, it's in Cancer. Okay, here's the Saturn in 49, it conjunct his ascendant. I don't know, 48, 49, I don't know what that would have been. That's probably a health thing when he's younger. Something with grandparents or something, I'm not sure. Hits his IC at 55, still in his invisible, not mentionable history years. Comes in, opposes his son in 58. So this is still young years. So it goes on 61, Saturn opposes Saturn, so he says 14, 15. But by 64, it conjuncts his descendant. So 62, he's working for his father's company, Elizabeth Trump and Son. At 62, 60, well, Saturn went through the sixth house, he's working for his father's company. Okay, but he's still in 64, as Saturn hit his descendant, he graduated from the military academy and attends Fordham University. So he's going through, as Saturn's building up, he goes up to the midheaven at 70, in 60, by 71, it's at the midheaven, and at 71, he's graduated, 68, he graduated from the University of Pennsylvania, and he became the owner of Elizabeth Trump and Son. He took over the company of his mother's, Elizabeth Trump and Son, and renamed it the Trump Organization. Okay, so this was the Saturn being on his midheaven. That's 72, Saturn's in his 10th house, 71. So then it comes up, then it went on to conjunct his son in 73. He's got the Trump Organization. In 72, when Saturn, just before Saturn conjunct his son, he marries Ivana, the Czech model. Okay, so he marries the model, and that was his big thing with the Saturn, sun up in the 10th house. Here I am. I got a beautiful model. My wife, here I am. I got it all. Got the company. And then it progressed to the Saturn return at 75. And then it went into his 12th house, and it hit his ascendant in 77, 78. And this is the beginning of an identity challenge, identity crisis. 77, 78, Ivana gives birth to Donald Trump Jr., her son's born. Identity crisis, not just about him. Okay, then this goes along, it squares his son in 1980, and in 80, Ivana's pregnant again. She has Ivanka Trump in 81, but she's pregnant when it's squaring his son and going below the horizon. And then by 82, Saturn squares itself, going down into the third house, going to hit his IC. It hits his IC in 84, 85. 83 was just as it's getting down to the lowest point, he opens Trump Tower in Manhattan. He bought a big, opens the big building. But really, his identity has been tied up with family during this time. But by nature doing his business. Okay. So in 84, when Saturn hits the IC, Eric Trump is born. So his third child the children came from the IC down to the from the ascendant to the IC. That's not a bad time. It's a personal growth time. It's a challenge. And the kids come in, he's doing his business, doing his thing, but he's having a family. By 84, 85, he knows what he doesn't want anymore. And he knows he's got to change it. He's at his low point. And he's got to turn it around. So he starts to be motivated, maybe for family and more, to get more done, to get more things done. So 84, 85. So by 87, he adds some other skills. He's in the growth and capacity. By 87, when Saturn's opposing his sun, he publishes The Art of the Deal, which is a big deal. It was a big book about The Art of the Deal is published. And that opened up a lot of doors in a different way from the business that he'd set up before. It added another element. And then by 89, so Saturn opposes Sun. So he did this as Saturn's opposing his Sun, which is his low energy time, so he wrote a book. Okay, now his book, it's an important book. He has his Mercury square Neptune, The Art of the Deal. A lot of people bought it. Then and by 89, he got into the game Trump the Game is mass produced. So that's building up to the opposition to Saturn, second Saturn opposition, 1989-90.